Welcome to Illustrator. This is the exercise for the still life, where we're going to do painting and drawing. This is what you learned on the lesson. So now I want you to show me how to use the pen tool, how to use the brush. So I provided 2 images. Download these somewhere where you can find them because we're going to place them into Illustrator. Open up Illustrator, create a new document, go to print, and we're going to choose tabloid. Let's change the point size to inches, rename it Illustrator AI. Exercise, still life, underscore, your name. On the bottom here, make sure the color mode is CMYK and that you're using a high res. This is fine, keep it as default. Let's just hit create. So I want to show you how you can rotate the page. To Artboard and Shift O. Once you're here, you can go up to the very top and you can see you can change it just to landscape. All right, so we have it now at the right direction. We have it the right size. Let's start bringing our images in. So to do that, you need to go to File, up in Menu, and Place. Make sure you have a folder that you keep all your images so you know where you can grab it. Mine is AI Project 1. And I'm going to grab Fruit, which is the painting, JPEG, and I'm going to drop it in. We'll come back and edit and size and scale it. So let's go back to File, Place, and let's get Drawing. All right, so we have both of the images placed. Now let's resize it so that it fits. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit because I can grab this. And I'm going to just make sure I hit Shift and that you are on the selection tool V, drag. And we'll adjust this once we get them both onto the document page. I'm going to have to do Command minus to get to the bottom of this. Shift, drag. You could have also used, so if you're not seeing these little knobs to be able to adjust, then you should use the free transform. So we can do Command plus. You can just do E and you can use the free transform to transform it. I could select both of these and group them. And if I want to make a nice border around them, remember we masked, so I can go to the rectangle tool and I want to drop it over. And then I want to select them by doing the V selection tool again. And then it's Command 7 will crop it. Because I really want you to fill the whole page. I can still edit it. Click enough, I can go back and get to the image. You have to just keep going back because these layers are layers underneath. So to see how it's grouped, and then you can still see the individual layers. So I'm kind of selecting this layer and I'm just kind of moving it over a little, give it a little more distance. So be careful when you are working. A lot of people work sometimes accidentally on one of these deeper layers and then it becomes hidden. So you got to make sure when you're working that you're not on those hidden layers, that there is no command above here that shows you're on a clipped group layer or any of the layers. It should look like this. Now let's go to layers. If you don't have layers out, you should pull layers out or find it up in Windows. And we're going to lock it. Before we lock it, let's call it image. And then we're going to add a new layer. And in this new layer, we're going to call drawing. So you can break these layers into more drawing layers. Drawing top, drawing. You just need to define them in a way that you can understand when you need to go back. Good to divide them up into more layers. It just makes it easier when you're trying to edit them to get it just right. To create these shadows, we use transparency. And the one that I picked was a soft light. So you might want to use that for some of these shadows. Remember to use your skill, the eyedropper, to select the right color. This is a little bit lighter than this side one. This is a little darker than the other. And I like to kind of pick the color and then keep working. Over here, you'll do the same thing. You're gonna kind of pick these colors. Then instead of using the pen tool to draw out all your shapes, we're gonna be a little more flowy and use the paintbrush. So make sure you have the paintbrush open. I recommend the tools on the top here to kind of draw out the element, and then go to the library and find some more creative brushes. If you do want to learn more about making your own brushes, there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube about it. I might try to find one for you and have it available, but that would be extra. What you need to see is transparency, the use of gradient, some brushes through these. And then for the drawing, I'm really looking for how tightly you make your line, and if you got the correct color. Are you coming up close and making sure that that edge is correct? So I make this shape. So my biggest problem here was that I did not have this swapped out. You want to make sure the lines are there. It's hard to read. And that's okay. This is something that I didn't show you, but you can always add and minus a point. If you just roll over it, it'll give you that option of minusing and plussing. So I added 2 more anchor points. And now I can go to my direct select, which is A. And I can select them, make sure I'm just selecting that one. And I can make that curve. I would probably then go and grab the direct point and give this more of a curve. Remember to click and drag if you're making curves. Click and drag. And then here I would adjust and make sure that this is as lined up as I can make it. You're here, before you fill it, just make sure you click on the color and then you can have it filled. And then you would go to the next part. This should be a test of what you learned through the video. So how I would get started with this is I would select the paintbrush. I would select the round one. I would make sure I picked the color I want to kind of work on first. I'd make sure the brush is picked, which is B for brush. And then do I have the right size I like? Remember, if you use these, you can scale with the brackets up and down, which is very handy. And this I might just kind of build little line marks. You could just go for it. Maybe leave the lumpy bumpies until the end. These are very textured. And then I would just toggle back and forth with the I for eyedropper and B for brush. For the apple, you can see these nice line strokes here. So maybe a thinner brush, and you just kind of keep lining it with strokes. So look at some of these textures. How would you use one of the library brushes, artistic brushes, to maybe bring back some texture? Remember, after you've done your drawing, I still would like to see some sort of background. Then I can use the gradient. Remember to click on gradient type, which one you would like to use. Remember, you can change the colors. So maybe I don't want so much of gray. Maybe I want a gray blue. And I can go into color palette and I could add a little more blue to it. Or remember, you can use that other freeform and then change each one of these into a color. If this was on a layer, and I created a new layer for background, I can actually move this down below everything, and then if I select it, I can grab that dot and I can drag it down to the background. Now you can see the work I was doing. You can just turn it off until you finish all your work, and then you could turn it on again to see how the background's looking. If you have any questions, remember my office hours are Tuesday and Thursday. I can't wait to see the work.